Nursing podcast. My name's Harry, I'm your host, and I'm joined by the wonderful newly qualified nurse, Maddie. So, having said all that, that brings me very nicely onto my disclaimer. We're doing things a little bit differently now, trying to get all that stuff over and done with first. So, any view expressed by myself or my guests are strictly our own. They do not represent any nursing organisation, any NHS trust we may be employed with, or any other educational institute me or my guests may study at. They do not reflect any nursing regulatory body or nursing professional organisation or trade union. They are strictly our own. So, having said that, Maddie, could you tell me a little bit about yourself, please, and how you became a nurse?
Of course. So I am a 23-year-old who was a nursing student and came straight from college. So I've always wanted to be a nurse ever since I was a little girl. I had quite a few health issues when I was younger, so I spent a lot of time in the hospital. So it kind of developed to be almost a second home, just a feeling of comfort within there because it's just some underlying feeling of being okay and being relatively uh, acquainted with everything that happens. Yeah, it is just a case of by being so comfortable there, and I also just really wanted to help people an awful lot. So I've thought that nursing would be one way that I could almost give back to the service because they did so much for me when I was younger.
It's really sweet. I really like that. So, because you were, now if you don't mind me saying, because you were unwell, that sort of drove a passion for you to go,
Mm,
right, I'm gonna train to be a nurse. This is all I've ever wanted to do.
definitely, it's something that I don't know if it would have been that case if I wasn't unwell, but it's definitely something that is the way that it has been. It's the way, just the passion that I've had for pretty much my whole life and all that I've ever known. And then just as time went on, it became more and more specialized as to what I was interested in that whole field because nursing is such a huge subject.
Oh, 100%, 100%. So, um, if you don't mind me asking, what sort of area do you work in? Do you work in a hospital? Do you work in the community? Do you work wherever nursing takes takes us all? Because, like you said, it is a big profession and it's huge. So, where do you work now?
That's okay. I work in the community at the moment. It's not honestly not something that I thought I would be doing when I was doing my training, just because there's so much unknown about the community. Unless you have a community placement, there's not really any talk about it at all. But one of my close friends from university really, really bigged up community and really just advocated for it. So I went for a job interview at one of the place that I work now, and they were kind enough to offer me a job. So I accepted, and I'm absolutely loving it.
Oh, okay, perfect. That's perfect. So, since being qualified, how long have you been qualified?
I've only been qualified properly for about a month and a half now. But
so the
yeah,
so you are a fresh nurse.
yes, very, very, very
You
fresh, and it's
you are a
fresh off
very
the.
fresh nurse.
Yeah, it's,
You're literally out of your supernumerary period. You finished your
yes,
supernumerary period a month ago.
yes, it's just crazy because you still feel that you're almost still a student. It doesn't feel too different from being actually qualified, except that you're able to do things on your own now. Really.
Yeah, so having said that, the title of this episode, should I say, is Nursing with Transition. So, what would you say, since being qualified, how have you found the transition? So, from being a third year student to being qualified, what would you say is the biggest transition for you?
Um, I would say that the biggest transition would be just having that, getting used to the overall concept of thinking that you are now fully qualified, so you are more responsible, and just learning to not let that be as intimidating as a lot of students probably would find it initially. Because when you are a student, you kind of feel that you have that safety net underneath you, that
Yeah,
you're a student, everything, if you mess up, then other people can help you rectify it. And when you get qualified, almost that safety net gets taken away, but it really doesn't. There's
yeah,
so many mistakes that you make as a student, and there are so many mistakes that you make as a newly qualified nurse or even as a very, very experienced nurse. Everyone makes mistakes, and there's always that support behind you. And it's just kind of getting used to that concept of that it's still okay to make mistakes, as always, and that no matter
yeah.
what, there will be ways that which it can be rectified. It's all a learning
Oh,
process.
100%. 100%. And a bit of disclaimer. So me and Maddie actually know each other because we spent my first very placement and your very last placement together. And I can't like, I'm on a different placement now. I'm in the community, and everything you have just said is 100% true. Like, I'm in a GP practice, absolutely loving it, and you're a newly qualified community nurse, absolutely from my perspective now, absolutely loving it. So,
Mhm.
what is newly qualified life like? Because I'm still very much new in my nursing journey. You've come to your well, I say. I'm new in my student nursing journey. You've come to the end of your student nursing journey and are in your nursing journey now. So, what is newly qualified life like? What can we expect, or what can I expect?
What you can expect is just you're still going to get that guidance. You're still going to get those prompts of just what do you need to think about in these situations, and it's still almost as though you're still a student, but in a sense that they are helping you to develop just as a person and become more comfortable in your role. And it's you'll you also get those times where there are forums that you can attend where you
Yeah,
can talk to other newly qualified and share your experiences. And it's just almost like a Schwartz round where you're able to open up about any concerns you have or anything that you felt that you've really achieved. And it's just showing that there's such a wide variety of what your opportunities are, really, because all
yeah,
the newly qualified, they're branched all over the trust, all over the UK, and it's
mm,
really good just to hear other people's perspectives on what your practice is and what other people's practices are. And to
okay, awesome. That sounds really good.
yeah, and you also they will task you to do things, but they won't let you do anything or encourage you to do anything that you don't feel competent in doing. So if you
Mm,
need to undergo extra training or need to take a bit of extra time to do something before you get let off on your own and you get to do everything that you like to do, then you
yeah,
can just ask for it, and they're more than willing to accommodate that because they want you to be happy just as you want to be happy where you are.
yeah, 100%. So, since being qualified, and since the episode's all about transitioning from being a student to being newly qualified, what have you found difficult about the transition? Has there been anything in your experience that's thrown you up? Is it waiting for your PIN? Is it waiting for something else? Is it getting on board on top of all the training that's most likely being thrown your way? So, what have you found difficult about the transition from student to newly qualified?
I would say a lot of the issues kind of resulted from just getting those last bits of the university just packed up and tied with a bow. It was a lot of paperwork, just gathering everything together so it can be sent to the NMC so you can get that qualification. And it's caused a little bit of aggravation, but it is so worth it in the end because
Yeah.
when you get that pin, you really feel that you've accomplished it. You've done everything that you possibly needed to do, and you can feel proud. You can almost take that sigh of relief that it's actually done. You've actually made it, and you've done this huge step in your life that has really, it will make a difference. It has made a difference already, and will continue to do so. And
That's amazing, Maddie. Honestly, that is actually amazing.
yeah, it does feel amazing as well. And you're just able to reflect over your past, however many years you've been in training, and think just what you can do now compared to what you could do at the very beginning.
Hmm.
And
Well, I'm actually glad you said that. So now being qualified and now made the journey from being a student to qualified, if there was any advice you could give yourself as a first year, what would it be?
be patient. That's what I would say. Be patient with yourself and be patient with the process, because everything has a reason. And you, because I know me personally, I like to know things well ahead of time. I like to just be I don't know, kind of proactive, but just constantly be busy, constantly know what the next steps are, and just get it done almost. But
Yeah.
in you kind of need to understand that you're not going to be able to remember everything. You're not going to be able to um, take in all of the information, because there is so much that you there's absolutely no way. I don't remember like half the things from year one, but it will kind of, you will get those general basics, and they will become so natural in time. You just need to enjoy yourself and take the time that you need. Don't rush into anything, and just trust that you will find something that you're passionate about. Like I say, that nursing is such a broad subject. Even if you don't enjoy your first, second, or even your
No,
third
100%.
placement and think,
100%.
Maybe this isn't the right thing for me," nursing, there is an area for everyone. Like, I found it in community, and I didn't have a community placement. And it's just, you will find that one thing, that little percentage of the nursing that really suits you and that you are so passionate about. And it will take a little bit of wading through those weeds, but you will get there. You will find that rose.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100% agree with you. Like I've always had a passion for sexual health, and I think I can remember telling you when we were on placement together. If I ever got a community placement or a sexual health placement, that's my jam.
Yeah.
That's my thing that I'm so interested in. Having said all of that, what would you say to a someone who is still struggling? They're in their third year, they've done so many placements, and they're like, right, I should really look at getting a job somewhere. What did I enjoy most, or what interests me? Have you got any advice for someone who has most likely and similarly been in a position where it's like, right, I've, like you said, you have such a passion for the community, but you've never you well, until now you've never experienced the community. So what would you say to someone in that position where you're like, oh, hang on, I want to do this, I've got no experience in this, but what would you say? What is your advice? Do you
Uh, so I would say that if you still want to kind of branch out and try different areas, there's always such programs like the preceptorship, or just having a look around. But just think about who you are as a person, I would say. I think, what is it that really interests you? What's your hobbies? What's your just general that interests in the things, what you think that you would enjoy? And just kind of branch into those, like even little things like, what do you do in your spare time? Do you do puzzles? Do you go outside? Do you walk, like play with animals or something? Because there's always something related to that in nursing. Like, for example, your puzzles, it could be that you're more into the research side of nursing. For going outside, it could be the
very
community, or
interesting.
it could be more environmental um, nursing kind of areas is there's so much that you just, if you didn't try, you'll never know, and you don't have to feel that you have to stick in one place. You can try somewhere, try it for a few weeks or a few months, and if you don't like it, try somewhere else. There's no limit to how many times you can change.
Oh, that's 100% true. And I think nursing is one of the most unique professions in that if you don't like a certain area or certain aspect of it, you can just leave and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay, I'm still supernumerary. I'm going to be supernumerary again, but you're you're finding somewhere which is, unique to yourself and somewhere and an aspect you'll enjoy. And like we've agreed, nursing's huge. Nursing's massive.
Yeah.
Um, and we there is a place for everyone, which one of the reasons why I love nursing so much and why I want to level nursing up is because it is for everyone. There is a aspect of care or an avenue of I don't want to say disease management because that's the wrong word, but there's an aspect of just care, and um, that is there for everyone, which is, I think nursing is a beautiful profession. It's absolutely amazing. um, and having said all of that, and we've talked about your transition for a little bit, what would you say is the most interesting thing you've done since being qualified? Now, I know you're only freshly qualified, but each day is different, each patient is different. What would you say of you're only a month and a half in because you're a fresh, you're like the greenest of green to a nurse. So, what would you say is the most interesting thing you've done so far?
Ooh, most interesting. I would say the most interesting thing I've done is, well, because I go out to go and see people in their own homes, I think the most interesting thing about that is finding out the parts of the individual that you don't necessarily know about and learning about how you can support them in other avenues other than the reason that you're actually going to them. So it could be that you're going to them for wound care, but you go to them and you see that their house is in an absolute state, or that they are not particularly happy with the way things are in their life, and you think, okay, how else can I support you in that way? How can I refer you to services that you would find helpful, and how can I work with you as a person to get you to where you want to be? So I think it's always doing that holistic assessment and holistic understanding of every single person you're going to, and uh, to some extent their close family, their close friends, just the people they have around them. It's always really, really interesting to see how different people are from one person to the next, because you could have so many visits in that day that completely just take you off guard, and it's just a case of thinking the broad spectrum of how do these people differ, but also how are they the same, and it's
Yeah.
differentiating who is who and what makes them that way.
No way, that's so good. Thank you, Maddie. Now, since doing your degree, you have a nursing degree now.
Yeah.
Would you say there's anything you're looking forward to going next in terms of education? Because, nursing is, like we've both agreed, it's a big profession,
Yeah.
um, and it's all about continuous learning. So, are you going to sort of take a little breathing space from, I say education, but formal education, while then you start learning how to become a better community nurse, or are you going to go right? I've done this for a little bit. I'm going straight into my masters or something like that. What would you? What's next for you?
Because I'm still relatively new to the whole just job side of things, and I'm fresh out of education, I'm personally going to just stay where I am for a little while and learn how to live life. Because when you're
Yeah,
a student and you come straight out of university, or you come straight out of college, and then you're suddenly living on your own, it's like, this is something else that I have to get used to as well. So yes, I'm learning how to just function as a human being outside of education, like 9 to 5
I like that.
education.
Yeah,
Um, and then I hopefully will be able to specialize in my passion of mental health. I'd love to be a dual adult and mental health nurse and be able to support people in both aspects.
that's amazing, Maddie. Thank you so much. So, my last question, and I've asked a lot of guests this. So, for anyone listening, what would be your one piece of advice or your silver bullet in what would that be? So, what is your one piece of advice or your silver bullet that you would give any other student, any other listener out there? What is your one piece of advice?
I would say, regarding nursing students, if you just think about your entire process, it is what you make of it. If you put in whatever effort you want to put in, if you put in take hold of the opportunities that are presented to you, or even the ones that aren't presented to you, if you actively go out and seek them, then you are going to enjoy yourself so much more when you put in that effort than when you don't, because you don't want to live in regret or in like feeling that you could have done something and you really, in hindsight, you wanted to do something and then you didn't. But just remember that even if you realize that after the fact, there's always going to be another opportunity. So you just keep that little eye out for those little areas that you want to focus on, or those little things that you want to do, and just grab it by the horns. You can do it. Is just believe in yourself, and if you put your mind to it, you can really do anything.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you so much for taking the time, and thank you so much for being here on my fourth episode of my podcast. So, thank you. So